Can our beliefs contaminate our memory? Can cultures affect our memory? Culture is both a system which consists of values, schemas, models, and artifacts, as well as processes such as rituals, daily routines, and practices. Schemas are cognitive structures that organize knowledge stored in our memory. They are mental representations of categories from our knowledge, beliefs, and expectations. Any information about particular aspects of the world, such as people, events, and actions, are stored in the person's brain in the form of a schema. Information that people are exposed to are affected by the culture and society that they are in. Since we're going to be focusing on beliefs and how our culture affects memory, we have to understand that culture affects why people remember, how people remember, when they remember, what they remember, and whether it is necessary to remember it all. When researchers conduct cross-cultural memory research with participants from the Western and non-Western cultures, they often use tasks developed in psychology labs. A researcher that supports the idea of culture allowing us to remember the items that have cultural relevance to us is Bartlett. He claims that culture and social demands can explain the extraordinary ability of Swazi herdsmen to recall individual characteristics of their cattle. The Swazi culture revolves around the possession and care of cattle and is important for people to recognize their animals. Many psychology studies have been produced to research into the idea that culture can affect memory, including one researcher stated above, Bartlett, and his study called The War of Ghosts. This study focused mostly on the idea of schema theory and that we remember things in the way that has relevance to us. Results show that memory can be unreliable as individuals tend to miss out details and introduce rationalizations and distortions because we construct stories to make more cultural sense. There are counter arguments to whether our beliefs and culture really does affect our memory. Misty and Rogoff argue that culture and memory are enmeshed skills. They claim that remembering is an activity which is then determined by demands of social and cultural contexts in which it takes place, and remembering may be a means of achieving an important social and cultural goal. In conclusion, the implications of many cross-cultural memory studies is that although the ability to remember is universal, specific forms of remembering are not universal and rather context-bound. Therefore, human cognition is culturally independent. In the way that cognitive abilities are influenced by social and cultural contexts in which people live. The implication of these studies is that although the ability to remember is a universal intellectual requirement, specific forms of remembering are not universal, as factors such as cultural aspects are different in that not cultures that have the same memory strategies. As demonstrated in the studies, people learn to remember in ways that are relevant for our everyday lives.